On February 5th, 2011, Jack Harnsenkram and Connor Osland, two strong young men from Eugene, Oregon, drowned when a nearly waist-high sneaker wave swept them off a rock bridge into a narrow chasm. The force of the freezing, churning water and the shape of the rocks made it impossible for Jack and Connor to climb to safety, and equally impossible for their four friends to save them without losing their own lives. Jack and Connor drowned within 3 minutes.
It's rare, but it does happen that people die on the Oregon coast. It's a wild place. There are tides, there are logs, there are cliffs, there are rocks. And over the last 5 years, 22 people have lost their lives on the Oregon coast. What's concerning about the lives that are lost isn't necessarily where or how they happen. It's that they're spread out, and there are so many different circumstances that lead to those tragedies.
I remember at the time I felt really strongly that this particular site where the boys drowned was just awful. There were too many things that came together that made it particularly susceptible to, I think, a higher danger than most areas on the coast. And I felt strongly that there should be some sort of marker, a safety marker, a warning, something to alert people to the particular danger here. And Saman in particular, I remember he was really adamant about not wanting this to ever happen again out there, wanting to have something in place so that it could avoid, no more drownings need to happen in this way out there. And so I think within the next week, I was trying to contact state parks through their website. And after about a week or two, I did get a response from Chris Havel, their liaison with the public. And we set up a meeting in Yahats at the community center.
The group wasn't exactly sure what they wanted to do at the beginning. They just knew they wanted to talk. They wanted to do something, and they wanted other people to know what this place, Smelt Sands and the 804 Trail, was like in a way that prevented future tragedies. So their openness to ideas is what drew us to the table. We got together. Sarah, Lily, myself, Claude Crocker, our district manager from the coast, Dennis Comfort, our park manager from South Beach. We all just got together in a room and started talking through what we knew about what works and what doesn't. And that's where the whole thing started, was just a very open conversation about the desire to do something positive and to find a way to fund it and get it done.
The original concept was developed by Jack's uncle, Stuart Thompson, who's an architect in Portland. The original idea was a dynamic metal wave being supported by stone columns. And on the wave was a plaque with some information about the dangers at the coast. And as we got going, we realized this wasn't a traditional building construction, it was sculpture, and we needed a sculptor to get involved. So I was working at the time on a project where Ellen Tykeson was the artist, and so I asked her to come meet with our group and talk about how she might be able to help.
He told me a little bit about what the idea was and sent me the concept, and then I was able to see what was kind of already the idea of the basalt columns and the element that I would be working on. And so he had asked me to make sketches, and so I did that. And then I came to the meeting and got feedback from the people that were there, and it seemed like it was a good fit, and we decided to go forward. So I started trying to figure out ways that I could embellish this to make it feel a little richer, and I love the sea life, and I thought, well, at that stretch of beach I've been there, and there's so much marine life at low tide, and the sea stars are very prevalent, and they're so beautiful with their orange and purple, and I thought, well, I could put a sea star, and then this is so much of what art is. It's like, whoa, I could put 2 sea stars on there, and they could maybe allude to the boys, since it wasn't really supposed to be a memorial, but on the other hand, their deaths were what prompted this effort.
Well, this isn't a memorial. It's a chance to pause. And there are, most of the time when somebody visits the coast, what makes them stop in their tracks and go, wow, are the views or the wildlife or the experience of the salt spray on your face. That just, it's this very enriching experience. What we're interested in seeing is if telling a story in this way and trying to communicate in this way makes people stop to think just a little bit. and reflect. The more wild a place is, really the more thought you ought to give before you enter it. And something like this might help that happen for a few people.
One of my closest friends said, and she's always been very supportive of my work, she said to me, she looked at it when it was finished, and she said, you know, Ellen, this could be the most important piece of work you'll ever do. And it really hit home for me. I tried to make it as beautiful as I could, because I do feel beauty has an appeal, and I wanted people to want to walk up to it and to want to read what it had to say. And we'll never know how many people go up and read and then pay a little bit more attention.
It's just a stunning piece, and every time we've been by, or I've heard any reports of people being there, they notice that everyone stops and looks and reads. And so that's got to be useful. It's got to be helpful, and hopefully people are reading the message and passing it on to other people.
The marker will do the work that we anticipated. It's going to warn people. It's going to attract people to come and see what it's about. And people are going to take note. And the story of the boys' accident, their drowning, is going to make an impression on people. And I think it's going to definitely serve the purpose of highlighting, making people just think a second time, maybe not turn their back to the ocean, maybe not go out on that bridge, maybe not let their children go out on that bridge that spans the chasm. They're going to take an extra second to pause and think, and the marker will do its job.